Welcome to the John Sue and Michael Rosmer video battlethon inspired by Gary Vaynerchuk. Today I'm going to talk about something that maybe others would be embarrassed to talk about. And those who know me well enough have come to the realization that I am a man, some would say I'm very confident in what I do. I'm fearless. But I often ask myself the question, am I confident and fearless? Or do I lack no shame and have no brains? It's often a juggling of those two things, you know. It's confidence or like no brains, you know. So it's kind of like the balls no brains or the brains no balls, right? I think I'm a combination of both, you know, just to get things done. And yeah, so today I'm going to talk about failure and the times of, how betting on myself and the key realizations I've got from betting on myself over and over and failing over and over. So in this video, I'm going to share with you my top 2 things that I've come to realize through failing. Number 1 thing that I've learned about failing is that the more I fail, the more comfortable I become with failure. But beyond being comfortable with failure, is it because I'm comfortable with it and failure used to be this bristle pad of metal that would just rub me the wrong way and it'd just be a negative, nasty feel, give me the heebie-jeebies? Or maybe because what I used to think failure was, this nasty, hard, abrasive surface, as I got to know it more and more, I actually realized it's not what I thought it was. It's not nasty, abrasive, and bad. What I've come to understand about failure, and it's through familiarization, is that I have a more complete understanding around failure. I realize failure is more than just bad. There's actually a lot of good that comes out of failure. When I look at failure, there's good and there's bad parts to it. A lot of people will know all the bad stuff about failure. It's sad, it's scary, it makes you go into depression, whatever it may be. Bad shit can happen. But a lot of people mentally know about the benefits of failure, such as resilience, confidence, adaptability. A lot of people know about what that feels like mentally, but they haven't had enough experience or hands-on a hands-on wrestling approach to failure, where they see and actually integrate the actual life lessons from failing. Right? Anyone can talk about all the benefits of good, all the benefits of failing. Everyone can talk about it, but when shit hits the fan, you really see how well and who the person really is, and how well they've integrated the lessons of failure. Do they bounce back, or do they hit the bottle, start smoking crack, and going into other primal coping mechanisms, right? And if they do that, it obviously shows they haven't come to the realization of seeing failure for what it actually is, which is the mental game, the mental mind games that you play with yourself, as opposed to the devil, bad, demon, avoid it, a primal survival, aversion. That's not failure. That's danger, but not failure. Failure is a mental game, and when you've really become comfortable with failure, you go towards it. And I'm not going to lie to you and say, oh, I love failure, it turns me on, it's my new girlfriend, it's my mistress. No, I'm not going to talk like that, because that's bullshit. Nobody loves to fail. Nobody even likes to fail. But it's just part of the game, right? It's the cost you you pay to play the game. You don't want to pay? Then don't play. Because nothing in this world is free. Right? Go on dates, it costs money. Go buy clothes, it costs money. Go get educated, it costs money. Everything costs something. Nothing's for free. So going back to that, that's what I've realized about failure is I have a more complete understanding around failure. That's the number one realization. Number two realization that I got from betting on myself and failing many, many times, way more times than actually succeeding, and continuing to fail and continuing to bet on myself, is that blind belief that it's going to be alright. And I really compare this blind belief of hope and praying that it's going to work out. It's like believing in God. I've never seen it or felt it or held it. But in all those times when hell's going to break loose, I seem to overcome it at that last moment. Well, in my mind it was the last moment. Maybe literally it wasn't the last moment, but in my mind it was the last moment. And betting on yourself and losing and losing and losing, but saving your ass at that last moment, unless you've actually done that in your life, you don't know what that feels like. But it's a total rush, it's like you're laughing and crying at the same time. You're so happy, you're like, oh my God, I just overcome that. But you're crying, you're like, oh my God, I almost got fucked over by that. And it's just going through that cycle, and it's not the cycle of elation and fear. It's that gratitude feeling of when you've overcome it. It's experiencing both of those emotions at the same time. You're scared and you're happy. You're happy and you're scared. And when you bet on yourself and you've become really familiar with that cycle, and you've really laser emblazed in your heart and in your mind that no matter what happens, I'll be okay. Sure, it ain't pretty, it ain't sexy, it ain't awesome, it ain't no He-Man shit, but I'll tell you, when you've done enough things in your life and failed that many times, you got balls of steel. And if you're a girl, metaphorical balls of steel. Or as Betty White says, why do they call it balls when vaginas are a lot tougher? We should call it vaginas of steel. That's what happens. That was another realization of what I've developed. I've developed a vagina of steel. And whatever I want to do in life that I truly want to do, I've been accustomed to betting on the house. I'll bet everything on the house. As I grew up and kind of started to learn more from life, betting everything is not my style anymore. Now I'm gonna bet a little bit less, but at the end of the day, when I've become comfortable on betting the house on me, knowing that if I bet on me and I lose, that I'll still have enough chips in my pocket to pick myself up and to rebuild. Right? You always watch, in those Bruce Lee movies. This is kind of how, there's a big villain guy who beat up Bruce Lee that one time, and then Bruce Lee had to match with him. So I kind of think of myself as the bad guy talking to Bruce Lee, and Bruce Lee's like your fear. I beat you before, I beat you again. And that's what I think about fear. Is usually fear beats me up. But as I get to fight with fear a lot more, I understand how it works, the dynamics of it, and realize it's never going to be gone. But because I've fought it many times, and I've beat it many times, and gotten beaten by it, hey, it's just part of the game. You want to live better and bigger than everybody else? You got to be willing to put, all bets on you. And that's what I've been doing for a really long time. Putting all bets on me for good 12, 13 years, ever since I was 25. Been betting on myself for 12 years now. Been getting myself taken to the cleaners many times over. But hey, I'm still alive. My parents probably wondering the same thing. How the hell is my son still alive? I'm genius, that's why. No, just joking. I'm not genius. But yeah, that's my 2 lessons on what I've learned about, betting on yourself and failing. Don't love it, but man, it's a fantastic life lesson and really builds your character of who you are and what you stand for.